Story 6, Part 8. The Vanished One. The morning after the Pulse claimed me, Chicago felt different. The streets were the same, familiar in layout and sound, but I could hear the hum beneath the asphalt, the vibration threading through pipes, water mains, and the metal under the elevated tracks. Every step I took seemed amplified, in sync with something I could not yet fully grasp. I needed to see one of the vanished students. I had to understand what became of them. The Pulse had shown me fragments the night before, visions, memories not my own, but they were incomplete, like reading a book torn in half. And there was one name that kept surfacing in my mind: Avery. Avery had been the boy with pale eyes, the one who had first invited me into the subway tunnels. But now, he was gone, or more precisely, he had been absorbed. I felt it in my chest, a tugging sensation, as if he were reaching through the Pulse to warn me, or maybe to test me. I followed the hum to an abandoned freight yard on the west side. The gates were rusted and chained, but the Pulse seeped through the metal like water, guiding me to a section of cracked pavement where the air shimmered strangely. Shadows here moved independently of light, folding into angles that should have been impossible. And then I saw him, or rather, what remained of him. Avery. Not quite human anymore. His body flickered in and out of focus, half in the material world and half in the Pulse itself. His eyes glowed faint green, like embers buried in ash. He didn't speak. Instead, he extended a hand, trembling slightly, inviting me to step closer. The hum surged, louder than I had ever heard, pressing against my skull, reverberating in my bones. You've come, he whispered, not with a voice, but directly into my mind. I staggered, fighting the urge to fall, but my feet were rooted. Do you feel it? Do you belong? I nodded, unsure. The Pulse was everywhere, inside and outside of me. It demanded understanding I wasn't yet capable of. Avery's form twisted, his body bending in ways that defied human anatomy, yet it felt natural, like a new rhythm emerging from the chaos. You must try, he said. If you hesitate. The Pulse. It consumes hesitation. His face contorted with something between fear and desperation. And then, without warning, he lunged, or maybe I lunged toward him. I couldn't tell which. The Pulse wrapped around us like water, and suddenly we were moving together, spinning, falling through tunnels that did not exist, the city's map rearranging itself around us. I saw other students in the Pulse's depths, faces flickering, some pleading, some laughing, some unrecognizable. Their forms were being rewritten by the city's rhythm, becoming something beyond comprehension. Avery's whisper became a command: participate. Move. Flow. I mimicked him, instinct overriding fear. Step by step, I learned the subtle movements, how a tilt of the head could redirect the Pulse, how a careful motion of the hand could open a door not built of wood or metal, how aligning my body with the unseen geometry kept me tethered to reality. But the Pulse was testing me. The farther we moved, the more I felt the city pressing in, walls bending toward me, shadows reaching, whispers multiplying until they became a tide crashing over my mind. One misstep, one hesitation, and I might vanish like Avery, or worse, remain half absorbed, a ghost in the city's rhythm. Suddenly, Avery stopped. The Pulse recoiled slightly, as if it had been waiting for him to falter. His eyes locked on mine. Do not let it own you, he said, and then his body wavered violently. Learn to control. Or. He vanished completely, leaving nothing but a shiver in the air and a faint green glow lingering in the fog. I was alone in the yard again, but I felt him still, trapped somewhere in the Pulse, a warning, a teacher, a ghost. I realized then that the students were not just absorbed, they were instruments of the city, extensions of the Pulse. Avery's disappearance was both an initiation and a threat. Follow the rhythm completely, or risk being erased. The city demanded compliance, but it also promised knowledge beyond human limits. I left the freight yard changed. My steps were no longer fully my own, my thoughts tangled with the rhythm beneath Chicago. I could sense students everywhere, drawn to the pulse, some guiding, some testing, some already gone. And I knew, with a cold certainty, that the vanished one was only the beginning. The pulse had a hierarchy, a logic I was only beginning to perceive. And somewhere deep beneath the streets, it waited, growing, learning, selecting its next participants. I had survived the first test. But the city had not finished with me.